This is Dr. Neil Patel coming to you from Mind Body Boot Camps and Dr. Patel Consulting with the Subconscious Manifesto. Today we're going to briefly discuss the subconscious mind and why it's so important to use this portion of our minds and what we can do to gain access to it and what results you will achieve when you fully harness this powerhouse inside your mind. The subconscious mind accounts for 95% of your brain power, and 5% of it is used for active consciousness. The subconscious mind is hidden in the background, and it functions non-stop, 24/7, 365. And the subconscious mind is frequently the difference between success and failure, life and death, and survival and thrival. The subconscious mind has many different names, and before we get too detailed, I want to make sure we have this understanding. And pretty much all these names mean the same thing. They all can fall under the category of the subconscious mind, and that includes subliminal, which means below the threshold of consciousness, unconscious, shadow conscious, unintentional, preconscious, non-conscious, the quantum field, and the unified field. Now, I end this list with the quantum field and the unified field because these are different worlds and different realms that we will be entering upon our practice to enhance your ability to go inside, to alleviate suffering during a time of turmoil, and to allow you to become whoever you want to become, which is why this is so exciting to me. The subconscious traditionally has been a very abstract concept. Today we're going to start off by really defining in a concrete manner where this is even located in the brain. That way, in the future, when you visualize this term, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So the subconscious mind is basically the core of your brain. It sits in the very middle. Picture an apple with its core and all the seeds inside in the middle, and then all the edible fruit on the outside. This is very similar. So you don't have to memorize these names, but it helps to paint a picture. Basically, we're looking at this portion right here. Essentially everything but the neocortex, and we'll define that in just a second. So the beginning is the extended reticulothalamic activating system, or ERTAS. You don't have to memorize that, but just know that it sits in the upper brainstem and is responsible for keeping you breathing and keeping your heart pumping while you're asleep and while you're awake, 24/7, 365. The limbic system sits in the core of the brain and is this little loop-like structure. And the reason that it looks like a loop-like structure is because it's involved in creating memory loops. So that's an easy way to remember it. For instance, if you have a stressful memory in the past, let's say you have life-threatening injury or some type of traumatic experience where your life was at risk. In order to avoid that situation again in the future, the brain has to remember it by creating a memory. And the brain has to play that memory over and over and over again in your mind to solidify it, to make sure that you avoid it in the future. It's a life protective mechanism. And it replays over and over and over again in this loop right here until the pathway is solidified and the neurons know exactly how to fire to recreate the memory and avoid experiencing that traumatic experience again. The last part of the subconscious is the cerebellum, which is right here. It's mostly involved in motor movement. Anytime you use a muscle, like grabbing something or using coordination or walking, this part of your brain is very active. And just as a side note, the subconscious can facilitate activities that are done consciously and subconsciously. Meaning, if you are walking from point A to point B, usually we are not thinking about walking. That's subconscious. It's automatic because you've already learned how to do that over and over and over again. However, if you want to be aware of how you're walking, you can focus on your posture. You can focus on which foot is taking a step. And this is actually a mindful practice. And so the subconscious mind involves activities which could be done on a subconscious level or on a consciously aware level. And we'll get a little bit more into that. The conscious brain is what we are not going to focus on today, but I want to define it anyway. Basically, everything outside of this loop, this is the outer cortex, okay? And the cortex is conscious. The cortex is aware. The cortex is deliberate. So for instance, if you wake up in the morning and you are consciously aware that you have to go to the bathroom and shower and get ready for work and then get in your car and then go to work and be there on time. That is your outer cortex being consciously aware to guide deliberate behavior. And I'm not saying that the conscious mind is bad. Clearly, we need this portion of our brain, and it actually distinguishes us amongst other mammals, and it gives us a higher intelligence. However, I believe that the way we are progressing as humanity in this modern technological boom that we're in the middle of, we are becoming increasingly conscious beings. So we're using this part of our brain quite frequently, more so than ever. And the subconscious is more so on autopilot. And the subconscious is becoming impressionable to our day-to-day activities. Now, the reason I believe that this is so important is because this actually ties into the evolution of human beings historically. So as the brain evolved from reptilian brain to the mammalian brain, the conscious brain took over the subconscious brain. And if you look at this picture, it describes this to the T. We have gone from reptiles to apes to Homo erectus and Homo sapien to a human carrying a stick and now to a human carrying a cell phone. So you can appreciate how unnatural this progression is. And I'm not saying that not to use your cell phone. Clearly, as a society, we have become very reliant on this as a means of communication, and then some. But I believe we should bring awareness to what's happening as a result. So if we go back to the picture of our brain here, evolutionarily and anatomically, the reptilian brain was simply this portion only. The core of the brain is all the reptiles had, because mostly all they had to do was needed a center to keep them breathing and their heart beating, needed a limbic system to create memories of near-death experiences to avoid predators, and a cerebellum to help them move and find their prey and eat so they could continue to live. However, as we have evolved, modern day humans now have a outer cortex along with the subconscious mind. And this outer cortex is growing upwards and outwards. And it has been one of the main reasons why we have adapted and evolved and thrived as a race, as a human species. So in order to know where we're headed, we have to know where we came from. And now that we know a bit of a historical perspective, we can now talk about what lies ahead. So I believe that the future and our technological boom will continue to hijack the subconscious mind. Humanity is at risk of embodying the toxic energies of lust, competition, anger, frustration, and egocentrism. There's a Stanford marshmallow study done in the 21st century involving children under the ages of 10. During the study, the evaluators offered the children one of two options. You could either have one marshmallow now, and that's it. We're done. You can leave. Or you can wait in this room for 15 minutes without doing anything, simply sitting there. And in 15 minutes, we'll give you 2 marshmallows. The choice is yours. Now, clearly, most of the children took the one marshmallow right away. A small percentage of the children waited and received 2 marshmallows. What these evaluators did was they followed these children throughout their lives to see what happened when they became fully functioning adults. And what they noticed was that children who could not wait to receive 2 marshmallows had a higher incidence of incarceration, drug abuse, lack of fulfillment, more health problems, and more mental health disease compared to the children who could wait 15 minutes to receive the second marshmallow. What this basically shows is that the children who delayed gratification had a much higher chance of success later on in their lives. Now, you may ask me, what does this have to do with the subconscious mind? What does this have to do with my future? Well, when you take a look at what we have at the access of our fingertips, in terms of your cell phone, in terms of the internet, in terms of online shopping or texting or social media usage, we have access to immediate gratification at our fingertips in the modern era of our technological boom. Which means that the more we use technology, the more we use these devices which facilitate immediate gratification, the more we will continue to hijack the subconscious mind. What happens when you hijack the subconscious mind? We begin to act out of fear, lust, competition, anger, frustration, and egocentrism. And as you can see, currently, in the United States of America, we currently live in a divided nation. And it's up to us to become aware that maybe there are certain things we can change in our lives so that we can become more connected. We can become more joyous. We can experience true love and warmth and being open to change, being open to being selfless. And that is easier said than done, and it takes effort. But without that effort, humanity is at the risk of embodying the toxic energies of lust, competition, anger, frustration, and egocentrism. Now you may ask, Dr. Patel, how can you predict that this is going to happen? It's obviously very difficult to predict the future. However, through deductive reasoning, one can see how this is an inevitability. When you talk about what the subconscious stores, this is everything that is stored in your subconscious mind. Right here. So your traumas, anything bad that's happened to you in the past that was traumatizing to you in whatever way, gets played over and over in your limbic system to create a memory loop so that you try to avoid that occurrence in the future. Your fears, a lot of your fears come from your traumas, whether that's fear of poverty, fear of loneliness, fear of death, fear of failure, whatever it is. This is where it's stored, right here. All your bad habits, your implicit biases. So contemporary social psychologists have estimated that up to 75% of us carry implicit biases. An implicit bias is a subtle, background, unnoticeable, judgmental point of view towards somebody else. This means that up to 3/4 of us are biased against other people or things without even truly recognizing that we are. This is a very big problem. If we live in a divided nation right now, and you say the split is 50-50, and 3/4 of us are biased towards other people for reasons that we can't even identify, essentially, that tells me that 3/4 of us don't really know what's going on in this part of the brain. We have not accessed the true powerhouse of the brain, And whenever we approach this passively, the subconscious mind is very impressionable. So if you're not careful, if you don't practice some sort of daily ritual which helps you reorient your good nature, passively the subconscious mind starts to act out of implicit bias. So when you work on the subconscious mind, it is your best friend. When you neglect it, it causes severe and repetitive suffering over and over and over and over again. And clients have come to me before and they've asked me, Dr. Patel, why do I keep making the same mistakes? Whenever I hear that question, that tells me that we have work to do right here. There's some pattern, a pitfall thought pattern that you are passively experiencing, and that is dictating the way your subconscious mind is acting. Along with the implicit bias comes self-limiting beliefs. Right here. I'm not good enough. I don't have enough resources. I'm not talented. I'm not good at math. I don't have social skills. I'm not creative. People don't like me. All these thoughts are a result of your traumas, your fears, your bad habits, and your implicit biases. And when you act with the subconscious mind in a passive manner, in a passive, hands-off manner, all of these things get stored right here. And essentially what happens is you become a slave. You really do. You become a slave to your toxic thoughts. You become a slave to other people who take advantage of vulnerable people, and you lose control and direction in your life. So although the conscious outer cortex is important to live and survive, without this portion of the brain, you are essentially living out a mediocre existence where you are trapped by external forces. So you may ask, why should you care about this? What's so, if I'm just responsible, if I'm a good person, if I work hard, then everything should work out, right? Well, on the surface, that may seem like that's a healthy viewpoint to have. But given the time that we're in, we have this nation, this divided nation in the United States of America. We have this COVID pandemic. We have a war against racism. We have groups of polar opposites who are becoming further apart day by day. It's very important to have somewhere or something you can do where you forget about everything. Because the more that you watch the news, the more you talk to other people about what's going on in the world right now, the more you are at risk of embodying the toxic energies of our modern day society. So, if you access the infinite realm, if you tap the subconscious, you can stop living your life according to others' perceptions of you. You can be anyone at any time, anywhere. And that sounds like a lot of fun, and it is a lot of fun. You can let go of self-limiting beliefs stored in your subconscious mind, You can start to rewire your brain for success. When you tap the subconscious mind, you will live longer. You will live a more productive, fruitful, fulfilling, loving, and joyous life. You can live deliberately with specific intention. So everything that you do on a day-to-day basis has an incredible amount of meaning. Everything that you do is geared towards a specific outcome. Everything. Whether it's what you eat, how you dress, who you talk to, what type of TV you watch. You can turn your life into one focused spearhead headed straight for a target which was meant for you and only you. You can achieve all your goals and you can have a blast while doing it. So why this is fun for me? The idea of entering a different realm during a time of turmoil. The idea that I can become anyone and achieve anything is supremely inspiring. The daily practice and cultivation of my inner temple reminds me to be grateful for my brain, my mind, my body, and to take care of it. And once I take care of that, I can take care of other people. And this is what we need during times of turmoil. It's fun for me because it allows the expansion of my consciousness. It allows me to become more sensitive and more aware of my place in life. The replay of deja vu. I can't tell you how many times in a given week where I feel like something has already happened. And that's my brain essentially rewiring itself to become accustomed to a certain way of living. The presence of synchronicity. Just being on the same page as your fellow human being. We all have a vibration around our bodies. We all have this specific electromagnetic signature that other people can feel. And I can't tell you, it's so inspiring to meet somebody whom you have total synchronicity with. You're on the same page. It's almost like you're completing each other's sentences. You're learning so much about each other. And 5 minutes ago, you were strangers. Just because we are wearing masks today and there's a pandemic does not mean that there's no way to connect to anybody. And this is how you do it. This practice provides a sacred safety. And before you can achieve anything in life, if you don't feel safe, you're not going to do anything meaningful because you're going to be acting out of fear. And whenever you act out of lack-based emotions, you create more of the same. So if you act out of fear, you will create more fear. And if you act out of safety, well then safety is the portal to every positive emotion in the spectrum. And lastly, what's so much fun is entering the infinite field as nobody and exiting feeling connected to everyone. That really shows me that everything is in your control. And the only thing to focus on is what's on the inside. If we wake up and we just start doing our day-to-day tasks, we are not in control. We are reactive to our external circumstances. But when we start from inside, then we truly gain control of ourselves. And the rest follows suit. So that's the Subconscious Manifesto that gives you an idea of what Mind Body Boot Camps and Dr. Patel Consulting stands for. I do one-to-one coaching with clients of all types with anxiety and depression and self-limiting beliefs. I do one-to-one consulting with healthcare providers having difficulty coping with this pandemic, wanting to reinvent their careers. So I have a limited time offer where I'm offering a free 60-minute consult. So the first 100 people who schedule with me will receive a free blueprint of their subconscious mind. All you have to do is click on this link right here, schedule a time slot that works best for you, and wait for me to contact you, and we'll schedule that call either over FaceTime or Skype or Zoom. And after that is over, you'll have a general direction of which way you're headed and how to open up your subconscious mind along the way, hopefully leading to better days, more success, more happiness, more fulfillment for you and all the people that you care about. So that's all I have for today, guys. This is Dr. Neil Patel saying, mind over matter makes your body matter. Take care, everyone.